Okay, so I'm a little sick, so don't mind me if my voice sounds a little odd than usual. But today's story is going to answer some questions that many boys might have growing up and, you know, might be actually one of their biggest fears, because I know it was my biggest fear, and that's girls with braces. But before you guys do freak out about this story and, you know, want me to get into it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, because seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And also, make sure you guys do follow me on Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram already, then consider yourselves ugly, unwanted, and, well, maybe weird. So make sure you guys do join the Discord server down below if you guys haven't already, and let's just get straight into this crazy, insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So I have a confession to make. I would never, ever back in high school go for a girl with braces. And I have a good reason why, and honestly, to this day, I still don't go with girls with braces. And one thing I made sure of was that my Fortnite girlfriend did not have braces. If you guys haven't met her yet, well, she's on the Bubba channel. If you guys haven't go check that out, go check it out already. But yeah, one thing I've never liked was girls with braces. And I have a good reason for this, and it all starts off back in high school in my grade 11 year. When I was in grade 11, I remember I never wanted to get close with girls with braces. I never liked braces. I never wanted it, nor did I find it attractive. But I remember in grade 11, I was talking to this girl that was really attractive, and she wasn't wearing braces at the time. She was really awesome. I remember me and her would always talk and stuff, and, you know, we were being kind of flirtatious in the talking mode. You guys would know what that means, you know. And me and her, we agreed to one day do the Devil's Tango. We never could find a time when, because she was always busy, until one day she came up to me in the middle of school and told me, hey, so like, I can't do anything this week because, well, I have to go get braces soon, but trust me, like, everything's gonna be okay after I get my braces. What is what I told her? You're getting braces? Nah, is what I told her. I told her no way I can do a girl with braces. She looked at me, she's like, why are you so scared of braces? Like, braces don't do anything. And I told her not what I've seen on the internet, because let's be real here, who wants a piece of metal close to their eggplant or close to their teeth in general? But I remember she kept telling me how everything's gonna be fine and how I should not be really judgmental about her having braces. But I just told her the goddamn truth, and I was worried that in the following weeks I would have to let her go because, well, she would have braces for the next 2 years, and yeah, that's a big no-no for me. I remember later on throughout the week, I kept talking to my homies and the guys, basically telling them how, like, this girl got braces and stuff, and how I don't want to, like, you know, hook up with her or do the Devil's Tango with her at all, because, you know, it's just ultimately disgusting. But all the guys kept telling me how braces don't do anything, there's no difference with braces, it's not a bad thing, and you won't feel it at all, is what they said. I thought they were right, and maybe, like, you know, maybe I'm just really being over dramatic about it. So I remember that day, in the following week, I remember I hit her up saying, hey, like, you free to come to my house, like, on Friday night? Just, like, come over. She was excited. She's like, oh, like, yeah, I'm down. And basically on Friday night, when that day came around, it was really scary for me, because I had no idea what's gonna happen. Like, think about it. A girl with a piece of metal is gonna come near my eggplant, bro. Like, anything could happen at that moment. So I remember I basically, like, kept, like, kind of, like, making sure I had band-aids on the side to make sure if I got cut, I could put it on, and, you know, all that good stuff. And on top of that, I kind of, like, wanted to wear a mouth guard, but I don't know, I felt like that would be really kind of weird if I did that. I don't know. I was just trying to take my safety precautions to a whole new level. Anyways, during Friday, I remember she ended up coming over, and basically me and her, we started watching a movie. She had her brand new braces on, and for some reason she chose the color green, and it always looked like she had something stuck in her teeth. But I don't know, apparently she got my favorite color as her braces, which was not a good idea, but I mean, it is what it is, whatever. And me and her just started watching Ted, because we both wanted to watch a funny movie. And I remember midway of us watching this movie, out of nowhere, she decides to come closer and closer to me, and she just started kind of, like, you know, wanting to do the Devil's Tango. But me, I kind of, like, stayed away, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm just not into it, is what I told her, like, 6 different times. But she wasn't having it. She's like, oh, like, come on, like, we've been wanting to do this for weeks now. Like, it doesn't make sense how now you don't want to do it since I got braces. And I kept telling her, I have a big fear of braces. Like, what if I get cut? What if I get, like, you know, anything? She kept saying how, like, it's not gonna happen, you know, everything's gonna be fine. So me doing what I usually do, I just said screw it, and I counted down from 10 and just decided to go ham. Me and her started to do the Devil's Tango, and I remember when she came down to do the Devil's Head, she started doing it, and out of nowhere I felt a cut, or I got like a really sharp pain. And when that happened, I remember I said ow, and I stood up. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I looked down at my eggplant and I started bleeding. The girl looks at me, she's like, oh my goodness, like, no, like, that's not what was meant to happen, like, I apologize, that's not what's supposed to happen at all. And I'm like, no. It felt like it was burning, and my eggplant was literally burning. It hurt bad, okay? It hurt terribly. So I remember me panicking and screaming. My mom came downstairs because we were in the basement gonna do the devil's tango, because we had like a TV in the basement. And basically she came down and she's like, oh my goodness, like what is happening? Like, oh my goodness, Bubba, like why are you bleeding? Why are your pants down? And like she was like basically questioning everything that just happened. And me, I'm kind of just standing there holding my eggplant with my hands kind of like having blood on them. And I'm like, Mom, get me a band-aid. I put a band-aid on my damn eggplant, bro. Like, I'm not even joking. It was the most embarrassing thing. And the girl started like kind of like freaking out because she didn't know this was gonna happen. And me, I started like basically like freaking out as well, because like basically like it sucked. It was a sucky feeling. Not like sucky like that, but like sucky, like it sucked how that happened. You know what? Never mind. Going on with the story. I remember my parents were like, oh, let's take him to the hospital. Like, we have to take him to the hospital. And like, I'm like, okay, like fine, like let's go to the hospital. So me, I get in my car with my bleeding eggplant with my band-aid on it, and we drive to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, I remember we ended up going to see the nurse. The nurse was some old lady that really hated me because of, I don't know, for some reason I like did her coworker. I have no idea. She hated me for some reason. And she's like, okay, so knowing your like crazy experience, I'm also gonna test you for STDs just to make sure nothing happened. Bruh, my eggplant is bleeding and you're telling me you want to test me for STDs right now? Is what I told her, because like, I don't know, she was just hating my guts for some reason. And my parents were furious the whole time. And I remember the girl's parents that, you know, ended up cutting me in the first place ended up coming down to the hospital as well to make sure I was okay and to pick up their daughter. And the whole situation became complete anarchy, because I remember when my parents went to go talk to her parents, she came into the room and she's like, I'm so sorry, like I didn't know this was gonna happen, like I swear it was not supposed to happen like this, like I have no idea. And I told her straight to her face, I'm like, listen, you know what, maybe in a couple years just take off your braces and come see me again, but this cannot ever happen again. Since then I never did a girl with braces. And I remember 2 years later I ended up running into the girl again, and she wasn't wearing her braces at the time, so me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango, and apparently her devil's head game got better. But basically, long story short, yeah, just watch out for girls with braces. But at the same time, like this is a rare occasion, like I'm not gonna lie. I did end up in the future, you know, after that day doing another girl with braces, and it was completely fine. So fair warning for all the people scared of braces, it's not an everyday thing, but it happens. Okay, so I have no idea how this happened to me. Honestly, it blows my mind every day knowing that this has happened to me before, and it sucks. But at the same time though, I did talk to a lot of the boys about this, and apparently a lot of the time it happens to them as well. So at this point in time, honestly, I think it's just a lack of experience of doing the devil's head. But I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm straight. Anyways, guys, today's story does get a little intense and a little crazy, so be prepared, and also leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Also, on top of that, join the Discord server, because if you guys don't, well, you guys are ultimately losers, and if you guys join the Discord server, you guys have the chance to talk to me and tell me your guys' crazy stories. And also, did I mention I'm the hottest guy alive? So follow me on Instagram. Other than that, let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place back when I was in grade 11. This was my grade 11 year, and if you guys do know already, I mentioned this many times on the channel, grade 11 was my ultimate F-boy year, meaning that I literally would do the devil's tango with literally anything that walked. I know it sounds really bad, but at the same time though, you gotta understand, like, teenagers will always end up doing this. It's just a common thing. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember I was in grade 11, and one time I was walking around the school, basically hanging out with my friends, minding our own business, and at the same time, I was just watching a video on my phone about some new games coming out. And as I was watching it, I remember one of my friends that was more of a jock kind of fellow, he wasn't really a big fan of video games, walked up to me saying, yo, bro, like, dude, trust me, man, like, tonight, bro, you be busting it tonight. You gotta get off the games, man. Like, tonight, me and you know what we're gonna be doing? And I look at him like, what are we doing? He's like, me and you tonight, we're gonna have a crazy party, bro. Like, it's gonna be insane, my brother. You understand me? And he proceeds to dab me up, and then I'm like, dude, what exactly are we doing tonight? He's like, dude, I told you, man, there's a party happening at the other school, and it's gonna be sick, dude. And guess what? This is an all-girl school, bro. Like, trust me, man. Like, trust the system. I end up looking at him kind of curiously, and I'm like, an all-girl school is having a party? Honestly, me knowing that they were having a party was insane. You only have to get an exclusive invite to go into one, and I guess he was handing them out. I wasn't really sure, but I really wanted to go. So obviously, I remember I walked up to him later on throughout the day saying, yeah, man, like, you know what? I've decided I think it would be awesome to go. And he started being all hyped up and, you know, patting my back, you know, and he was like, yes, bro, like, let's go, baby. And I was kind of excited. Anyways, I remember that day I ended up going home. I hopped on my Xbox and talked to the boys a bit before the party started. My friend was telling me on my Xbox how, you know, I got to be careful and stuff. And some of the girls are really, well, how do I put this? Like, ratchet in a way. And that I should just be careful and also make sure there's no holes inside the rubbers, whatever that means. I don't know. I had to take precautions. So I remember I told him, bro, don't worry. It's just an in and out job. Simple as that. And basically, I remember I ended up getting off my Xbox, getting ready, and getting in my car and drove down to the party. I remember I picked up my friend because I had a nicer car than him and he wanted to show up in a nice car. So as I was doing that, I remember we got into my car, we drove straight right there. And when we parked there, I remember there was a lot of cars parked outside. Me and my friend were pretty excited, but at the same time, there was no actual parking spots outside the house. So we had to like park in like this weird visitor parking area where there were like no cars, like zero. And it was really awkward. But we parked there, we got out, we went straight to the party. And when we got there, it was a little crazy. And by a little crazy, I mean, we had a girl open up the door and she's like, were you guys like literally invited? And I remember me and my friend, we looked at her and my friend said, oh yeah, like I was definitely invited because I'm like the football player at the other school down there. So like, you already know, like it was definitely like a VIP invite in a way, you guys, you could say. I remember this girl ends up pulling out her phone and checking her notes and seeing if we were on the list. And apparently he was on the list, so he wasn't capping about actually being invited. And when we went in, I remember we were looking around and we're like, holy cow. The amount of girls that were at that party was crazy. Now, usually in every party you go to, you always want to make sure the ratio is more girls than boys because you don't want to end up being a sausage fest. But knowing that there were so many girls, I remember me and my friends were walking through the party and literally for some reason, I don't know why, these girls only school like girls are so weird. Like literally, I remember like it was getting like a little through the night and I was talking to some girls, you know, I took some photos with them and stuff like that. But out of nowhere, and I found this so funny. This one girl, she was like really out of it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was getting pretty out of it at the time. And basically knowing that me and her were wasted. By the way, don't underage drink, kids. Very warning, big warning. Don't underage drink. Really bad. Don't do it. Basically, I remember I was trying to like walk past a chick and you know, she was in front of me. So I told her like, hey, can you move out of the way? She didn't move out of the way. She wasn't moving. She just kept standing there and ignoring me. So in a way, I remember I tapped her back and she turned around. She's like, oh, hey, as she looked at me. And I looked at her and I'm like, hey, like, I'm just like hoping like you could just move out of the way. She's like, oh yeah, make me. So I remember I ended up grabbing her waist and moving her aside. But as I grabbed her waist, she instantly just went in for a kiss and started making out with me at the party. All my friends were freaking out. And the member of the jock was like, see, I told you, get some, let's go, baby. Like all freaking out as if we were like in a classroom making out. And it was super awkward. And I remember I didn't know what to say. So I was just straight up like, yo, like real quick, like I gotta like just get aside. Cause I actually wanted to go get a drink because my mouth was dry as hell. I remember I went to go get a drink and she followed behind me and wanted to like hang out with me and stuff. So she started putting her hand in my pocket as if she was like a prisoner or something. I don't know. It was really weird what she was doing, but at the same time, like it's a girl, you know, you don't really mind it. Anyways, going on, I remember the funniest thing ended up happening where this girl would not let me go and nor let me go anywhere in the party to talk to other girls. And I'm not gonna lie, this girl was attractive. So I remember I straight up told her like, oh, like I gotta quickly go to the bathroom. So I started heading to the bathroom. And when I got to the bathroom and opened the door, I walked in and she walked in right behind me. She literally walked in right behind me out of nowhere. And I remember I looked at her and I'm like, what are you doing? She looked at me. She's like, oh, like I have to like wash my hands or something, you know? So I was like, okay, sure. So I ended up, you know, wazzing in the toilet while she's just straight up washing her hands right beside me. And then I remember I started to pull out my pants, but then she pulls it down even more. And then one thing led to another. She ended up giving me the devil's head. It was super awkward because we were in the bathroom of like, you know, a party that was happening. And I remember like 10 minutes went by and she was just going at it. And to me, I was just kind of sitting there on the toilet seat going, this is really bad. This is a really bad idea. And then out of nowhere, I remember someone knocks on the door of the bathroom because someone wants to get in. And straight up, as someone knocked on the door, she bit me. She bit my eggplant. Like, dude, I was like, what in the world? And it hurt so much because I remember she full on like had lockjaw. Like she bit, like bit as she was giving me the devil's head. It sucked. So I remember I basically like jumped off and like her like mouth was still on my eggplant. And like basically my friend ended up opening the door, seeing that, and he saw that live in action. And he's like, did I come in at a wrong time, bro? And I'm like, yo, it's not what it is. It's not what it is. And this girl, like, I don't know why, I had to like straight up push her back as her teeth were like still clamped on, and it sucked. Okay, all I'm gonna say is it hurt so bad to the point where I remember as I pushed her off, I straight up walked away from her and I just went to another chick and I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? And apparently like everyone knew what was happening between me and that chick and what was happening in the bathroom, to the point where all the girls were like kind of like just not really that interested anymore. And knowing my eggplant hurt so much even after that, I straight up just decided like, you know what, like screw it, like this party isn't even worth it, even though it kind of was because it was an all girls party almost, but whatever. And I basically ended up going down to my car, basically entering my car and wanting to leave. But as I was about to leave, the girl that bit me and the guy that invited me, my homie, ended up coming straight to the car and coming to the side of the car saying, yo, bro, like she just wants to say something real quick. And the girl, she ends up looking at me. She's like, hey, so I just want to like say sorry. Like that never really has happened. I got startled. And like, honestly, like you're really big. I mean, like really cute. So like, do you want to maybe like see each other again another time where it's like not in like a hard situation? I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like no, just no. And I started my car and I drove away. Honestly, a little based, I know. And maybe I'm a little bit of an Andrew Tate when it came to that moment. But other than that, I mean, hey, sometimes there's better things to do. Like play Call of Duty or watch my videos. I remember me and this girl were doing the
devil's tango.
And out of nowhere, my eggplant just broke. I have no idea how it happened, but I'm gonna say this, it hurt a lot. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing and crazy story. So this story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 12 year. Now, in grade 12, I should mention, this was the point in time where I've done a lot of the
devil's tango.
Like, no joke, I was the ultimate player known to man, and I think at this time in my grade 12 year, my body count was already like above like 80 something. And I'm gonna say this, it was a really bad thing. Don't get me wrong, on this channel, I talk a lot about me doing the
devil's tango.
But in no way do I mean this as a flex. I'm just saying it's not a good idea. Going on with the story though, I remember in my grade 12 year, there was one time where basically I ended up going to this party. Now this party was just one of those grade 12 parties that, you know, people would go to when, you know, it's near graduation time and everyone's trying to keep the relevancy for the end of the year to make sure people still remember them after high school. Me, I actually never ended up hosting one of these parties, but hey, honestly, I don't think I need a party to make myself feel relevant after doing like 80% of the girls in my high school. But going on with the story, I remember I was in this party just hanging out, walking around with some of my friends, and I don't know where this girl ends up walking up to me. She walks up to me and she says to me, "Hey, Bubba, what are you doing right now?" I'm just hanging out. Why? What's going on?" "Oh, well, like there's a girl here and like I think she knows you, but like she wants to meet you. Is it cool if she meets you?" Yeah, sure. Let's go meet her." I remember I ended up walking up to this group of girls that were basically all like in a circle talking about me. And I walked up to them saying, "Hey, like, what's going on?" "Oh my goodness. Hi, Bubba. I was just curious. So like, you know, like that girl that you were hanging out with last week?" Yeah, what about her?" "Well, I don't know. She says like you're like the master of like, you know, doing it and stuff. So I was just wondering, like, are you like really rough?" At that moment, I didn't really know what to say because, well, to be honest, I don't really talk about like, you know, doing the
devil's tango
in public places. Like, yeah, I get it. You know, I tell stories about it on the internet all the time, but like in public, in person, like you got to admit it's kind of awkward. So I ended up looking at these girls saying, "Oh, I mean like, yeah, I guess I'm a professional at doing the
devil's tango."
And they all started laughing and giggling, except for one girl that was in that group. This one girl, she was like all tatted up and she was like really like menacing looking. Like she literally looked like one of those emo girls you would normally see on the internet. And she looks at me saying, I'm not gonna lie, Bubba, I think you're like super easy. Like you're probably like super vanilla." Wait, what? At this moment, I didn't really know what the term of being vanilla is. And trust me when I say this, it's nothing that anyone needs to know. But at this moment, I remember I basically like ended up talking with this girl and stuff. And then me and her, we ended up going to another room and we started talking about more about doing the
devil's tango.
We didn't end up doing it, but let's just say this girl was into some majorly weird stuff to the point where I'm not gonna lie, if I was the dude in the room with her, I'd probably worry for my safety. But then one thing led to another. I ended up adding her on my social media accounts, and well, let's just say the next day at school when I saw her again, things got really awkward. Because I remember the next day came around and I ended up walking into school and I had my backpack and everything, and right away I ended up seeing this girl come up behind me, grab me from my backpack handle and pull me onto the ground. She ends up doing that and says, "Bubba, honestly, I think me and you, we need to have a discussion." Discussion about what? Like you just pulled me onto the ground." "Well, like, I think we need to talk." And as she was saying that, she was getting closer and closer to me to the point where I actually felt super uncomfortable. So I stood up right away and said, "Yo, listen, like you need to calm down, okay? Like I'll talk to you later, but like I gotta get to class." And that's what I did. I went inside my classroom, but as I was walking on the way there, one of my friends that was like close homies of mine ended up coming up behind me, and I got kind of like traumatized from the last moment, so I ended up turning around right away, and my friend's like, "Yo, bro, chill. It's just me, man. I saw what happened back there. Who is that girl?" "I don't know, bro. Just some girl that's like really into me, I guess. I don't really know." "Well, bro, I mean like she's kind of hot. Why don't you go for it? It's not like you to not go for girls." "Well, I don't know. She's kind of like weird and stuff." And like, bro, if you heard what she was telling me at the party, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think you would want to be with her either. At that moment, like he started laughing kinda, and me and him, we kind of just ended up walking into class and doing our basic schoolwork. But what ended up happening next really made me realize that some girls are just not meant to be with you. Because I remember after school came around, and after school that day, I ended up walking towards my car. And as I was walking towards my car, I saw a note that was left on the car, and I picked it up and it said, "Bubba, meet me at the park at 7:30. I need you to pick me up for something." At that moment, I saw that and I didn't really know what to do or what to think. Because usually when people leave notes on your car, it's usually a ticket for something or basically, you know, getting in trouble. But this girl was, I guess, leaving a message about me needing to pick her up at like 7 at the park. So I said whatever and decided to go do it. Was it a smart decision to do it? Well, probably not. But to be honest, I always go through life saying yes to things, even though it probably leads me to the worst places ever. But I remember later that day, I ended up going home and dropping off my bag and stuff at home, and I ended up getting right back into my car and driving straight to dinner. I went and ate dinner with some of my friends, and then afterwards, one of my friends was saying, "Yo, Bubba, after this, we're all going back to my place. Do you
want to come?
Sorry, man. I got plans.
Wait, what? You got plans? With who?
To be honest, bro, I don't really even know. At that moment, all my friends ended up looking at me and kind of realizing that I probably had like another
Devil's Tango
session to go to. But in my mind, I didn't really know what was going to happen. Until I remember, I ended up getting inside my car. I drove over to the park that I was supposed to meet the girl at. And once I got there, I am not joking, there was a girl dressed in all black, the same girl that pulled me down in school. And I am not joking, I was almost about to turn around until she noticed my car and started waving her hand saying, Baba, over here, park over here, pick me up. So I ended up picking her up, and me and her, we ended up sitting in the car together, driving down a couple roads. And she looked at me saying, Baba, I have a question. Yeah, what's up? Well, like, are we going to my place or yours? At that moment, I didn't really know what this girl wanted, but I was almost 99% sure that she wanted to do the
Devil's Tango.
So I remember me and her, we ended up going to her place, and she ended up living in like this basement suite with like 2 of her roommates. And both of her roommates were like super also emo, like really emo to the point where I'm not gonna lie, it just felt really weird being there. And then one thing led to another. I ended up going into this girl's bedroom, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, we ended up doing the
Devil's Tango.
But I remember in the middle of doing the
Devil's Tango,
I am not joking when I say this, she ended up basically doing this thing where she ended up like belly flopping onto my eggplant. And I am not joking, I think she ended up actually breaking my eggplant. Like, no joke, I guess she landed on it the wrong way, but she basically landed on it, and to the point where it like twisted. And I'm not gonna get into detail because of monetization reasons, but she broke my eggplant. I remember I started screaming saying, ouch, oh my goodness, that hurts. And she looks at me saying, aw, Baba, can you not handle it? Handle it? I think you broke it. At that moment, I ended up basically getting up and leaving because I just felt so uncomfortable, and this girl got really mad that I just straight up left. But I remember as I was in the car looking between my legs, I realized that I was in major pain to the point where I actually ended up going to the hospital. And I remember when I got there, I'm just holding on to my eggplant, kind of like, you know, really in pain. And I sit down in the waiting room, and 10 minutes later, a girl doctor walks out, says, Bubba, I'm here to see Bubba next. So I get up while my hand's in my pants. I walk into her office, and I sit down and say, yeah, so I kind of got into a really weird accident. I don't really want to talk about it, but I'm in major pain. This doctor ends up looking at me, and she says, wait, what are you talking about? And at that moment, I ended up pulling my pants down, and yeah, let's just say there was like a major bruise on there, and she ended up, I guess, kind of laughing, but at the same time trying to keep it professional. And when one thing led to another, she told me just to take some pain relievers, and yeah, that's basically what happened. But the fact that I ended up going to the hospital because this girl basically broke my eggplant was crazy. Like, I couldn't do the
Devil's Tango
for like another 2 weeks since that situation happened, and I couldn't even beat my meat, bro. Like, it was actually one of the most craziest things ever. But tell me this, have you guys ever broke your eggplant? Because if you guys have, then follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.